The United States of America is a long and complex story that spans several centuries. Here is a brief overview of some of the key events and eras in American history. Pre-colonial period, before 1492. Before the arrival of Europeans, the land that is now the United States was home to a diverse range of Native American cultures and civilizations, including the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incas in Central and South America, and the Navajo, Cherokee, and Apache in North America. Colonial period, 1492 to 1763. In 1492, Christopher Columbus landed in the Bahamas and initiated a period of European exploration and colonization in the Americas. Over the next several centuries, Spain, France, England, and the Netherlands established colonies in North and South America. These colonies were often established for economic reasons, such as to extract natural resources or establish trade routes. Revolutionary period, 1763 to 1783. The period leading up to the American Revolution was marked by growing tensions between the American colonies and the British government. In 1775, the colonists declared their independence from Great Britain, and the American Revolution began. The war lasted for several years and resulted in the formation of the United States of America. Early Republic, 1783–1820s. Following the Revolutionary War, the new United States of America struggled to establish a stable government and build a new nation. The Constitution was drafted and ratified in 1787, and George Washington was elected as the first President of the United States in 1789. During this period, the country also expanded westward, acquiring new territories and states. Antebellum period, 1820s–1861. The antebellum period was marked by a growing divide between the northern and southern states over issues such as slavery and states' rights. This tension eventually led to the American Civil War, which began in 1861. Civil War and Reconstruction, 1861 to 1877. The Civil War was fought between the northern and southern states from 1861 to 1865. The Union Army emerged victorious, and slavery was abolished throughout the country. The Reconstruction period that followed was marked by efforts to rebuild the South and establish civil rights for African Americans. Industrialization and expansion, late 1800s. In the late 1800s, the United States experienced a period of rapid industrialization and expansion. This was fueled by new technologies, such as the steam engine and the telegraph, as well as the acquisition of new territories and resources. Progressive Era, 1890s to 1920s. The Progressive Era was marked by a wave of social and political reforms aimed at addressing issues such as poverty, inequality, and corruption. This period saw the rise of the labor movement, as well as the passage of significant legislation, such as the Pure Food and Drug Act and the 19th Amendment, which granted women the right to vote. World War I and Roaring Twenties, 1914 to 1929. The United States entered World War I in 1917 and played a significant role in the Allied victory. The Roaring Twenties that followed were marked by a period of prosperity and cultural change, including the rise of jazz music, flapper fashion, and the stock market boom. Great Depression and New Deal, 1930s. The Great Depression was a period of economic hardship that began in 1929 and lasted throughout the 1930s. President Franklin D. Roosevelt introduced the New Deal, a series of economic reforms aimed at providing relief and recovery to the American people. World War II and Cold War, 1941 to 1991. The United States entered World War II following the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941. The war lasted until 1945. The United States emerged from World War II as a global superpower and played a major role in shaping the post-war world. The Cold War, a period of political tension and military competition between the United States and the Soviet Union, dominated international relations for much of the second half of the 20th century. Civil rights movement, 1950s to 1960s. The Civil Rights Movement was a social movement aimed at ending racial segregation and discrimination against African Americans. The movement was marked by protests, marches, and other forms of civil disobedience, and led to significant legal and social changes, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Vietnam War and Counterculture, 1960s to 1970s. The Vietnam War was a controversial conflict that lasted from 1955 to 1975. The war sparked widespread protests and anti-war activism, as well as a broader countercultural movement that challenged traditional social norms and values. Late 20th century, 1980s to 1990s. The late 20th century saw significant changes in American society and politics. Ronald Reagan was elected president in 1980 and implemented a conservative agenda that emphasized free market economics and limited government. The end of the Cold War in 1991 marked the beginning of a new era in international relations. 21st century, 2000s present. The 21st century has been marked by significant events such as the 9/11 terrorist attacks, the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and the election of the first African American president, Barack Obama. More recent events include the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the contested 2020 presidential election. The United States continues to grapple with a range of political, economic, and social challenges, as well as its role on the global stage.